Hey guys, welcome to the first KACRAO Kast. I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm Eric Sanford. I'm the VP of Professional Development for KACRAO, and I'm the University Registrar at Friends in Wichita. So this is a brainchild of mine. We will see how it goes, but I've invited three of my good friends here today for the first KACRAO Kast, and I want them to introduce themselves to you all and share a little bit about who you are, of course, where you're currently working, what you do for the executive board. And lastly, I know this is like stacking questions upon questions, but I think you guys are smart. So how long have you been a part of KACRAO? So we are going to start with our past president. We'll just go that way.
All right, so I'm Megan Chambers. I'm the Director of Recruitment for Kansas State University Global Campus. I'm past president for KACRAO, and I have been part of KACRAO since 2015, so 8 years.
Awesome. 8 years. And you've done a lot in 8 years.
I have.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, then we'll go with our current president.
Well, hello. My name's Brenda Carmichael. I'm Dean of Enrollment Management at Flint Hills Technical College that's located in Emporia, Kansas. I am currently the KACRAO president. I started with KACRAO in 2001, so 22 years.
22 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
My students in class the other day, I've been at the tech college since they were born, so it's great.
You don't look like you've been alive for 22 years, Brenda. You're doing great. Now, I think there are a few others in our membership that have been part of KACRAO a little bit longer than 22 years, but that's you're at the longevity of a lot of people for sure, right?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, very cool. Well, let's our third person here is the president-elect.
How you guys doing? Hugo Perez. I currently serve as an assistant director of admissions at Fort Hays State University up in Hays, America. With KACRAO, I am the president-elect, which also means I am the program chair for the annual conference coming up in September in Topeka. When it comes to that, as far as how long I've been in KACRAO, I'm actually the same time frame as Brenda. So August of 2001 is when I started in admissions at Garden City Community College in KACRAO, and Manhattan 01 was my very first ever KACRAO conference.
Awesome. So. That's so cool. I didn't say how long I've been. I think it was around 2004 is when I started as a registrar, and it's been off and on. So I don't know how many years that is, but yeah, that's awesome. So we have a lot of history here amongst the three of you guys, and that's why I wanted to have you guys on as our first guest. So I just would, of course, let's just have a great conversation about KACRAO and plug KACRAO a little bit, but also share your experience. So why should someone, or why should a college or university in the state of Kansas place their membership with KACRAO? What would you say to that?
I think that a big part, both as an individual and as an institution being involved in KACRAO, just the network that you're connected with. And of course, there's so many resources. Being an admissions professional, having access to the CPC circuit, those college fairs KACRAO puts together in the fall. That's something that our Kansas Association does really well. And it's not done in every state. There are other states that those are either set up by entities or through the high schools. And so the fact that KACRAO manages all of that and puts that circuit together and makes sure that it makes sense for those that have to be on the road, I think that's a huge benefit. But other, other resources as well. And then just the network that you create is huge.
I think that the professional development opportunities with our annual conference and our summer drive-in workshop that allow members of these offices and enrollment management registrars and admissions to attend and have the in-person aspect of it, as well as even our listservs that all of our members are part of, that, you'll find some good conversations on there throughout the years of being able to ask a question and people get back to you, giving you what they do at their institution. So again, in the world of higher ed, we're all looking to help the students as best as possible and get questions answered. And it's nice to, again, have the network that you can work with colleagues to get some different views on issues and situations.
Absolutely. I take that opportunity as much as I can. The professional networking has been the best benefit out of KACRAO, but also the cost that you're getting, everything that you're getting with the cost is the best opportunity I've ever seen with the professional development, the networking, the different information that we get during the conference and having the CPCs and things like that. So being able to call or email people throughout the state about situations to help with things going on your campus, or if you want to make changes and finding out what other people are doing. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it sounds like from all three of you guys, of course, networking is crucial. And I know that for the four of us, we went to KACRAO together. We've got memories that have been made and crazy things that we've done together. And yeah, it's just networking. I think that's been the key thing that all of you have said, and I could echo that for sure. Literally, I think we all could travel the state of Kansas and stop in and see someone and pick their brain. So that's awesome. That's great. I'd love to hear a great memory that you've had let me rephrase that. What is the best memory you've had in your time with KACRAO? Brenda, you want to start?
Well, that's a hard one because I have a lot of great memories. Whenever I started in KACRAO, being in admissions at Emporia State and just being involved in all the CPCs, the different high schools, and all the fun we had, putting my material on their tables during college fairs or hiding bags. But I would say probably the best memory now would be KACRAO and just the opportunity of KACRAO providing that for the president. We've never been to KACRAO through the tech college, so having that professional development and gaining that knowledge has been a great experience. And I had a lot of friends that went to KACRAO, so spending that time with everyone and was probably the best memory. But I mean, there's a lot of them, a lot of great memories.
Hugo, what
You want to go, Hugo?
See, I was gonna go the ladies first thing. I was gonna let you guys know. No, I know I can go ahead and go. I think one of my best memories, it really does revolve around the annual conference. So if I could say, overall, the annual conference, it tends to have some of those best memories. For me, having served as the local arrangements chair back in 2013 at Dodge City, kind of seeing what goes behind and making sure that it's a good conference for people and having people leave having enjoyed themselves in the facility, and those kind of things are great. And just being able, again, the conference itself, being able to sit down and pick the brains of veteran admissions people, registrars. Megan knows personally, Ev Coles, that was a staple in KACRAO for many, many years. I had hours and hours of conversations with him outside of sessions. And those are things I'm truly grateful for, being able just to sit and listen. Sometimes you just got to listen to people and the stories and those kind of things. And his way of communicating are those things you try to emulate for other people. So I would say those kind of things, again, through the conference.
Yeah. Gosh, Ev Coles I started out in admissions as a student worker at Butler. And yes, he's always been one of my favorites in admissions for sure. So I would say best memories. I have a couple. So for those that know me, know that my dad he worked in admissions. He's been part of KACRAO for a very, very long time. He was KACRAO president a long time ago. Sorry, yes, I'm calling him old. He knows that. It's okay. But I would say, let's see, 2019 in Wichita was a really good one. I won the Beth Tedrow Outstanding New Professional Award. And Beth is like another grandma for me. Like literally, I call her grandma. So that was really cool. And my dad was there for that. So that was a fun experience. But also just last year, 2022 KACRAO, whenever I was president. You put in so much work during your president-elect year, planning the conference program. And so honestly, it's a little hard to enjoy that year because you're just stressed out, you know. It's totally worth it. It's a great experience, but it's a lot. And so my president year, just really being able to enjoy it. And, you know, Brenda was the one that had to be stressed, and she did a great job and made me look fabulous, which was great. And yeah, I just got to enjoy that. And again, my dad came to that conference, hadn't attended a KACRAO conference in a long time, but he attended that one to be there when I was president. So that was really
That's cool.
1990, by the way, 1990 is when he was the president.
before I was born, y'all.
Yes,
Before I was born.
Me too. No.
See,
That
now,
was-
Eric, if you would have asked for the funniest story, it actually involves Megan's dad.
Oh,
In my
really?
time at KACRAO, it really does.
Well, we've got to hear it now. You brought it up.
So actually, when I was working at Garden City Community College, my very first year, Megan's older brother was being recruited to play football. And Megan mentioned Beth Tedrow earlier in her award, and Beth Tedrow was the dean of students at Garden City Community College at the time, you know, and worked with Bill and whatnot, and has tried to get him out, you know, to come visit. So the day before, I was told, hey, you're going to give Megan, which brother was that? I cannot remember. Matt, you're going to give Matt, that's Bill Rinkenball's son. You're going to give him the tour. I said, okay. I had just met Bill, you know, in Manhattan in my very first conference, you know, past president, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I am nervous as all get out. Give the tour, walking him around, think everything goes great. We all know how recruitment goes, especially in athletics. Matt ends up staying home and attending Butler Community Colleges, has a great career there, enjoys it. Good for him. We are at the Garden City KACRAO conference. Oh my gosh. 2011, 2010, I can't remember what year it was. It was back in the 2010s there. And we were naming the Beth Tedrow, the new professional award for Beth Tedrow. So Bill and Paul Kyle from Johnson County come down and they give some stories. Bill brings up that story of bringing Matt out to the visit and how he did not want him to come to Garden City Community College. He wanted to stay at Butler. So he took the longest way he could. He went by every feed yard, every little thing. So here I am, you know, again, I am 24 years old at that time, you know, giving that tour, so nervous that, you know, I'm giving Bill Rickenbaugh and his son, I got to do this for Beth and whatnot. And then years later, I find out, man, it was rigged against me the whole darn time. It wasn't going to happen on there, you know, those kind of things. And I'm just sitting back there when they're talking about this at the conference. And I'm just like, I just, you know, just like, I'll tell people, that was me. I gave him this tour. I had to do this. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, but again, it's those great stories and things like that you meet with people when it comes to that.
Yeah. Well, and being from Garden City, so I could understand him trying to take him all these back roads, all those feedlots, the smell of money, as we say, right?
Exactly.
Well, I'd like to know, how has KACRAO helped you professionally and personally? Because I think when I think of KACRAO, it's, yes, professionally comes to mind first of all. But I also think there's a different side to it, and that's why I add personally as well.
So, you can go ahead, Brenda. Go ahead.
All right. So KACRAO has helped me build the resources and the connections. I did start at Employee Stay as the transfer admissions counselor, and based on the individuals I met with and visiting Allen County Community College, whenever that position came open, they called me and said, "Hey, can you apply for this? You were so good with our students." So, I mean, if it wasn't for KACRAO and building those transfer, connections and going to community colleges from a 4-year to a community college, that wouldn't have opened up that door. And then the same thing whenever the position came open here, having those KACRAO connections and individuals reaching out and saying, "Hey, will you be willing to apply?" But it's not just those gaining professional opportunities, but just the knowledge alone from the veterans that have helped make my job easier and better and more efficient, and having those connections. And personally, I mean, I've gained family. I mean, friends for sure, but I mean, family. I mean, KACRAO family has been there at some of my darkest hours, and that's been a blessing for sure. So.
Megan.
Yeah, definitely on the personal level, some of my very best friends met through KACRAO. I mean, thinking like Brenda and I got to go, Brenda and I were friends before, but we got to go to leadership together in DC last summer. Because of COVID, we both got to go instead of just president-elect. And we got to spend a lot of time together, and got really close from that experience. So that's a huge part of it. And that's made an impact, professionally as well, because not only have I created, lasting friendships and really, friends that turn into family, those are professional references as you're looking for other jobs or being involved in different things. And I would say professionally too, I just started with K-State last August, and I worked at Butler previously in admissions and then institutional research, but supervisor wise, I hadn't been a supervisor of full-time staff. I just supervised students, and that was a big part of the job that I have now. But I was able to draw on that leadership experience that I've gained through KACRAO, because I was voluntold by Michelle Ponce to get involved at my very first KACRAO. I've been able to, grow within the organization and then draw on those points, through the interview process and my professional experience. So, undoubtedly it's given me ample opportunity to grow professionally.
Mhm.
Good. Hugo, do you have something to add?
For me, professionally, the opportunities again to grow maturity wise on there have been huge. The young man that I was early on in my career and the very immature person that I was is completely different than who I am now on there. But that was thanks to the mentors at my institution, at other institutions that I got to emulate throughout this whole process, and seeing what they've done, being put into leadership positions. I think legitimately I've been on KACRAO exec since 20 11 minus 1 year on that through various roles. And that help, that being able to be involved in those areas. It's been the last 3 years now that it's been truly, that I've been an exec member, but being a committee chair and those kind of things throughout that time have been wonderful. And I think I'll echo the sentiments of both Brenda and Megan on here. On the personal side is, the mentors that turn into true friends. Having those people that you can call. And gosh, just a couple weeks ago, I had almost a 2-hour conversation with Corbin Strobel at Hutch. I mean, I've known that guy 22 years on there, and being able to have those types of conversations and knowing you can pick up the phone and talk to people, it's just wonderful. And being able to see the smiling faces of you three on a Zoom call, it's those things that make it worthwhile personally and professionally for me.
Right. That's great. So you guys have all, of course, shared a lot of positive experiences with KACRAO. If I'm a new person within the organization or new to admissions or registrar's office, what advice might you give me as a new registrar, new admissions counselor?
Ask questions, not only of the people on your campus, but of people that you meet on on the admission side, on the road. When you're doing that college fair circuit, ask questions, get to know people, our job, is to work with students. And if you can't ask questions of your peers, how do you expect to ask questions and get to know 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are trying to make one of the first big decisions of their life? If you can carry on a conversation with a complete stranger that you're meeting for the first time at a conference or a college fair, you're going to be able to talk to, a student on there. The other thing I would say is be knowledgeable, not only of your institution, because you need to have that level of knowledge, but be knowledgeable of other institutions across the state on there. Again, we're in it to help students with their next step in life. And it may not be your institution. Okay. It may not be K-State. It may not be Flint Hills. It may not be Fort Hays. But gosh darn it, if I have somebody that comes and talks to me about culinary studies, I know that I can get them down to Flint Hills Tech because I've walked through their facility before. Okay. On there that I can get people. Oh, you're still looking to online? You can talk to Megan. This is a program we don't have online. But be knowledgeable about those other institutions. We're here to help the student. Yeah, it's competition, but ultimately it's to help the student. So that's why I say ask questions, be knowledgeable about everything.
Those are great points because, even remembering the days back on the CPC circuits and, talking with students and they come up and ask questions and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have that major, but so-and-so does. And then they would send their friends and go, well, just go talk to them because they'll tell you what school to go to. Just having that knowledge builds us as a better organization. And especially in today's time when people don't want to ask questions, for having that knowledge whenever a student comes in about your institution, about the other, schools. Like I had a student today that came in to transfer and she, we talked about some different institutions and she's like, how do you know so much? And I said, well, KACRAO. I told her that, I have friends at these institutions and I make sure to get on their websites and to look at things. And I always go and make sure that nothing's been changed because you don't always know that. But having that knowledge, taking as much training as you can to build yourself professionally. If it's something that's required at work, you do the training because without that training, you're not going to be able to do your job the best way that you can do it. And don't be afraid to talk. I don't have a problem talking to strangers, do I, Megan?
No.
So, but just engaging in conversations at the conference, in your workplace to build, those relationships. And my last piece of advice is work-life balance. I don't follow that well, but I do recommend it.
No, Brenda, you're terrible. I think absolutely echoing what Hugo and Brenda said, and, make connections and ask questions, at your own institutions, and then, people in similar roles or that serve, work at similar institutions as you, at the KACRAO conference or summer drive-in or wherever you're connecting with KACRAO colleagues. You can learn so much just by networking. Having someone to reach out to, and say, hey, we're working on this initiative, but we're stuck at this place. Do you guys do this? Or, what are tips for helping students through this or that? Because, yes, we are competitors, right? We're all targeting the same students, but like Hugo said, ultimately it's about the student. And in the questions that you're going to be asking your colleagues, we're not talking about deep, dark secrets, right? We're talking about, basic functions and things like that. That's definitely a huge part of that professional organization and your network. Work-life balance is definitely a big part, but I think anybody who's truly invested in the work that they do, it's very difficult to find that because we serve students.
Mhm.
They're on a different timeline than we are, but just kind of finding a way to keep yourself, energized. And that's something that moving from being in an on-campus position to remote, is very easy to just continue working because I'm already home. I'm not having to leave an office, but I've also found that I get really, really, really worn out, if I'm not taking that time for myself too. So I would say don't burn yourself out, because this certainly can be an industry that you can be in for a very long time. I mean, you look at Brenda and Hugo, who have been involved in higher ed for, more than 20 years. And that is an amazing accomplishment, because there is a lot of turnover in the work that we do, but it's also a very fulfilling career, as long as you're also taking care of yourself, because you can just get worn out so fast if you're not.
That's great advice for all of us. So Hugo, you have something else you want to add?
Just one more quick piece of advice for
Yeah.
anybody joining, new people, join a committee. Join a committee.
Mhm.
Well,
You'll learn more about it at the conference.
That's
Join a
right.
committee.
That's the one I was going to say too. Yeah. I had a question of what's the best way to engage with KACRAO? And I think all four of us would say join a committee, right? Yeah. And some committees don't take much time at all. I'm overseeing a committee right now that by the time conference comes around, we might have met maybe 5 hours total. It's just, and you can have other committees that meet once a month. Well, that's maybe 12 hours out of your year. It's not that much. So great advice, all of you guys. To wrap things up, I appreciate all of your guys' wisdom, but to wrap things up, I'm curious, what are you looking forward to for KACRAO in the future?
Do you guys mind if I go ahead? One of the things, we talked a little bit about this at our last exec meeting, and Brandy Brenner from Pitt State and I at ACRAO, again, professional development, you find a lot of stuff out. We sat in a session where one of the state organizations does kind of a leadership institute to get people developed into stepping into leadership roles. And I, as I move into the presidency after this, I'd like to see maybe stepping forward with that a little bit, maybe in conjunction with our summer drive-in workshop, and doing something to develop some more leaders, some people to get involved, not just at the committee level, but a little bit higher on there. And I think that's one of those things I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely looking forward to I guess, finally taking the step and really being in a leadership role after 20+ years, when it comes down to it. But fortunately, I've got great people that have done this position that I can use if I need to. And like I said, I just need to keep, as the engineer, I just need to keep the locomotive running on there from what they've already done. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to new growth, meeting new people and getting growth in having people add to committees, wanting to be involved, providing them, we've talked about it in our KACRAO exec council, and just giving people the reasons of why to get involved in KACRAO, the purpose of it. And I think adding the leadership and continuing with our leadership program will really help with that. I love all my friends, but just meeting new people is always exciting for me. So
Yeah. Brenda talked before about how KACRAO is, it's a small amount of money to be involved in KACRAO, to be a member of KACRAO, for everything that you get out of it. And it really is. Moving on to a university and all the different organizations we're a part of, it is very cost effective to be part of KACRAO, but KACRAO is able to do that because we are very efficient in the way that we use our funds. And so the reason we're able to do that is because we're 100% volunteer organization. We don't have anybody that's paid for what they do. But in my experience, and I've been in several roles in my 8 years in KACRAO, it's the time commitment has always been worth it. And, being president-elect isn't for everybody. It took us 20 years to get Brenda and Hugo to, take on all of those responsibilities.
I ran out of excuses.
Yeah.
I got a lot of phone calls and text messages.
Yeah. But those are just, I think both of them would say it's absolutely worth it. And so I'm looking forward to, kind of like Brenda said, seeing how we grow. I just really encourage people to get involved, because it really will do so much for your professional career. If you want to be able to grow in higher education, get involved in KACRAO, because it is a great way to do that. I'm a perfect example of that. If it weren't for KACRAO, there would be some things missing from my resume that I needed for the job that I have. So looking forward to that growth, and just seeing how we move forward as, the higher ed industry changes.
That's great. I'm looking forward to just seeing the growth and meeting new people, and how higher education, like you say, changes. And I think we've got some great things in store. In closing with this KACRAO Kast, I just want to remind everyone, one of those ways to grow is actually next month at our summer drive-in. You can register today on our website. It's like $45 a person, so it's super cheap. It's a one-day thing at Salina Area Technical College. And hopefully between now and then, I'll have another KACRAO Kast with some of the people that are putting that program together. So, well, Megan, Brenda, Hugo, thank you so much for joining us on our first KACRAO Kast. I didn't blow it up, and I hope everyone enjoys it. We'd love to have your feedback. You can always email us with some questions. And if you want to get involved, absolutely reach out to one of us. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.